This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast where we take a look at the week that was in Bates Athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we sit down with Director of Athletics, Kevin McHugh, to get an update on what the Department of Athletics has planned for this upcoming January. We also talk with our Bobcats of the Week, senior basketball captains Jerome Darling and Bernadette Connors. All that and more coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The men's basketball team welcomed Bowdoin to town on Wednesday for a non-league game, and the Bobcats took care of business, defeating the Polar Bears 74-60. They got off to a hot start thanks to sophomore Max Hummel.
And on all the way to the hoop, misses the shot, Darling the rebound, and now Darling will look to run. Bounce pass over to Hummel. That's a baseline jumper, and it's good. Max Hummel has been so effective this year, the sophomore out of Connecticut, makes it 5-4 Bobcats. So Jerome Darling will handle the ball out of the timeout. Darling running the point with the injured Sean Strickland watching over on the bench as they get over to Hummel. Corner three, knock it down. Max Hummel again for the Bobcats. He has 5, and the Bobcats have 8. They're up 8-4.
Love to see it. Running away with a smile on his face. Max Hummel's just having a career year.
And a good rebound by the first year, Gilpen, who gets it over to Hummel. He's feeling it. Heat check. Knock it down again. Oh, he's hyped up. Hummel hits the three, and the Bobcats lead 11-4.
Max Hummel fired up. You were wondering what they were going to do this year without Josh Britton, but Max Hummel has stepped up.
And then in the second half, the Delpeche twins took over.
Marcus Delpeche down low to his brother Malcolm. Throw it down.
There's the hammer you've been waiting for. Delpeche to dunk.
Hummel off the screen from Malcolm Delpeche. Malcolm Delpeche will drive all the way to the hoop, and the layup is good.
Doesn't get more pretty than that. Spin move, in, finger roll, bucket.
Zukowski, top of the key for Coyne. Coyne on the drive. Nice feed. Malcolm Delpeche has to chase it down, though. Now Marcus in the lane, and he throws it down!
That's a big league play. Just all in all, that was a hammer by Marcus Delpeche.
After the game, we caught up with Marcus Delpeche, who scored a game-high 25 points, and head coach John Furbush to talk about the win over the Polar Bears.
Well, certainly it is a rivalry, and we get, you like to think that we play every game the same, but we get a little extra juice when we play Bowdoin, especially at home. And for these seniors, it's probably the last time they're going to play Bowdoin at home, so I know they were pretty jacked up about it.
We got one of the seniors right here, Marcus Delpeche. Some monster slams. You got to love to get the crowd pumped up, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. Watching our crowd react to all of our plays just knows that we have our fans behind us. So basically, they're the sixth man on our team, and so it's awesome, especially playing home games here. We love having them.
And I know Simons for the Bowdoin averaging over 24 points per game. It looks like you and your brother Malcolm were on him all game, weren't you?
Yeah, our big emphasis this year was communication, and when our coach made sure that we had assignments this time, so he put me on him, and my teammates helped me out a lot, and so holding him to 12 points, that's big for us.
Yeah, Coach, obviously a big emphasis in practice this week.
Big time, and I want to clarify that Malcolm did not guard him for a possession. That was solely Marcus here. So Malc, as you listen to this, I love you to death, but we're not going to give you any credit. Okay. No, but we did I thought Marcus executed our scout very well. We knew that, Jack can really shoot it. He's got a great face-up game, and Marcus totally did his assignment. Yeah, you missed a couple, but that's 12 points when you're averaging 25. He did his job.
Coach All's a perfectionist, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason why that we're so good.
And then you got another game coming up this weekend against Colby, another non-league game, another rivalry game nonetheless. What do you remember from them from last year and the years past?
They beat us, and that's enough for me. I don't like them. I love them. They're a great organization, but especially playing in Bates for 4 years, whenever you play on Bowdoin and in Colby, those are the games that there's just something special about it, and you just really want to beat those guys.
And how nice is it to have, we talked about the home fans, but some home games right off the bat here kind of in December with the students here?
Yeah, it's nice it's hard to schedule these games because a lot of opposing coaches know when our breaks are, right. And typically when I throw out some dates, they do not bite. But luckily with Bowdoin and Colby on a similar academic calendar, it was pretty easy to get this game. I'm really surprised, though, that Colby agreed to a 6 o'clock game on a Saturday night where alumni should be rocking pretty good.
Absolutely. And just any other thoughts on what this win means to you after a couple of tough games against Bowdoin last year?
For me, it's just promising, like moving forward. Like as long as us as a team, we continue to play like that. We erase those minor mistakes that we had. Like nothing's stopping us except us, and that's the biggest thing I feel like that's different about this year.
All right, Marcus Delpeche, Coach John Furbush, thanks so much.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it.
The Bobcats lost a heartbreaker to Colby on Saturday by a score of 55-54 in a non-league game. Patrick Stewart converted a three-point play with 0.2 seconds left to clinch the win for the Mules. Despite the loss, Malcolm Delpeche made history.
Swing it back around for Stewart, their leading scorer. Outside they go for Steiner. He'll drive, and there it is! Malcolm Delpeche with the block. He is the all-time Bates career record holder for blocks. Malcolm Delpeche.
And what a block to set the record. Came over from the weak side, no chance.
Give him 128 in his illustrious career, passing Dave Larrabee, class of '88, for the all-time record.
It was a great week for the Delpeche twins, but our male Bobcat of the week is senior co-captain Jerome Darling. With Sean Strickland injured, Darling has stepped up in a big way at point guard for Bates. He tallied 8 points, grabbed 9 rebounds, and dished out a game-high 7 assists in the win over Bowdoin, and followed that up with a double-double against Colby, scoring 11 points and securing a game-high 11 rebounds to go along with a game-high 4 assists.
Talking with our male Bobcat of the week, Jerome Darling, here on the Bobcast. And Jerome, first of all, you're one of the co-captains this year for the men's basketball team. So what's that experience been like so far for you?
It's been a great experience thus far, working with all the guys. It's definitely a challenge, trying to make sure everyone's locked in every day and focused on the task at hand. And it's definitely been a great experience for me, just learning and understanding, the different types of leadership styles that I have to adapt for each player, and definitely something that I think will help me outside of the classroom as well. So it's been great.
I know before the year, Coach Furbush was talking about maybe moving you to the two-guard more, but because Sean got hurt, you've been playing point a lot recently. What's that been like? I know you played it last year as well, but, playing way more minutes at point guard than perhaps you were expecting to.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem. Sean got hurt. One of our freshmen, Nick Gilpin, me and him are pretty much interchangeable at the one spot. And it's just been the adjustment we've made. Whoever kind of gets the rebound is who we've been allowing to just be point guard. But with Sean, I've just been trying to kind of assert myself at that role and just bring that leadership that the team needs. So, yeah.
You've been getting, speaking of rebounding, you've been getting a lot of rebounds this year. I find that interesting because obviously, you're not the tallest guy in the world, but you've been getting so many rebounds. What do you work on in practice and just being about being right place, right time for you?
Yeah, a lot of it is just knowing where the shots are going to come from. Before the games, obviously we have our scout, and you kind of develop an idea of who the best players are and on the other team and where they're going to be shooting the ball from. And then I just try to put myself in the best position, according to that scout to get those rebounds. So.
Do you feel like you may be surprising some other teams running in there to get it, and they're maybe losing you there a little bit?
Yeah, they may not. I'm 5'8" on, with boots on, so they may not expect me to grab those rebounds. So I just try to use that to my advantage and just go and get it.
Got a double-digit win against Bowdoin this past week. You had a 4-point play in that game. Those are pretty rare. Have you ever had one before?
I think that was my first one on my Bates career, so that was pretty cool. Kid barely touched me, but I'll take it.
All right, there we go. And then the Delpeches, I got to ask you about them because they're fellow seniors just like you are, and so you've been able to work with them, throughout your Bates career. What's it like to play with those guys?
Playing with those guys are great. We're good, great friends on and off the court, and they run the floor so well. I can most of the time with my assists, I can just toss the ball anywhere near the rim, and they'll just get it and put it in. Helps me out, gets the crowd going, and just energizes us on defense. So we're a pretty tough team to beat when we're running, and their athletic capability really allow us to do that. So
you're a guy who likes to push the pace, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To see Malcolm break the career record for blocks, what was that moment like?
That was great. Me and Malcolm are always going at it in practice and at pickup, who's going to block him blocking my shot. So there's always the inside jokes about it, but I was really glad to see him get that achievement. He's a real selfless guy, doesn't really care about the personal accolades, but I'm really glad to see him, hold that, and I think he'll look back and enjoy that achievement.
The Colby game, obviously a tough one, the last second shot there. What's the team's attitude right now after that game? Would you guys talk as a team about how do you go forward kind of from that?
Yeah, the last second shot, a lot of people focus on the last second shot, but we made so many mistakes throughout the game that enabled it to become a one-point game and come down to that shot. So I think just as a team, we realized that, the blame doesn't go to one person. I know some of the seniors, including myself, we were just like, oh, maybe I missed a free throw or I missed a layup or something like that. But you can always point the finger. But at the end of the day, we just have to look inwards. And the bottom line is, as a team, we just didn't get the job done. So we're just going to go back to the drawing board, trust the coaching staff, and get prepared for our next game on Sunday.
Yeah, obviously this being finals week and no games this week until Sunday, but how nice it will be for you to get past finals week and be able to focus more on basketball.
It'll be great. I'm actually in the process of finishing up my thesis, and I only have one final, so once I get that done, this winter break, we always make the joke we're like professional basketball players because we have no academics to worry about, and all we have to do is focus on hoops, so it's always great.
You looking forward to going to New York there around New Year's?
Yeah, the New York trip will be exciting. A lot of memories will be made on that trip, with my senior class and the fellow underclassmen. So I'm pretty excited for that, just to bond with the guys.
And then looking ahead to January, you have those 2 road games to start NESCAC play with Bowdoin and Colby, and then you get a bunch of home games in a row. I mean, you guys must be looking forward to that.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to that. Speaking of the Colby game, when that kid had to shoot that game-winning free throw and the crowd just erupted, that really reminded me of how, supportive and the atmosphere that we play and how great it is. So I can only imagine how electric it'll be when, conference play starts.
All right, well, we're looking forward to it. And Jerome Darling, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us. And congrats on being our male Bobcat of the week.
Thanks for having me.
The women's basketball team had a tough week, going 0-3 against Colby, St. Joseph's, and Bowdoin in 3 difficult road contests. But through it all, senior co-captain Bernadette Connors shined. Connors averaged 15.3 points, 5 assists, and 4.3 rebounds per game on the week, shooting 18 of 38 from the field and 5 of 12 from three-point territory. For her efforts, Bernadette Connors is our female Bobcat of the week. First of all, you were team captain last year, co-captain again this year, this time with Allie Capola. What's that dynamic like with you two being the captains? What are some of your responsibilities and whatnot?
Allie and I have played together since freshman year, so we're just so excited to be going through it all together. We worked together last year with Chelsea being captains, so it's pretty easy for us. We're best friends on and off the court, and we have pretty different styles of leadership, so they just complement each other really well. In different ways, we push each other and the team to be competitive, to stick together, just to work hard every day.
What's your style of leadership?
I just think it's more about keeping everyone together, and just making everyone feel valued and a part of the team and the culture.
Right, because I know, oftentimes you'll see the team, I know one game only 7 players played. It was 5 and then 2 and whatnot. So what do you say to some of the players who maybe aren't getting the playing time necessarily about, when their time will be coming, right?
I think everyone realizes that they work hard every day. It's for the best of the team, and that it will pay off in the end. So there's really no need to acknowledge negative thoughts or attitudes, and everyone's on the same page with that.
And then for you personally, what are you working on in your game out there on the court? Because obviously you have a lot of responsibility as being the point guard and whatnot, and running that offense and everything.
I guess just everything overall. Sometimes I'm bringing the ball up, and sometimes I have to score more. So just kind of working on my confidence overall and whatever the game demands, especially on the defensive end as well. So yeah, just every day focusing on what I can do to contribute in my role. That kind of takes a little bit of everything.
And it seems like based on the stats, you get a lot of rebounds out of the guard position. And so how do you manage to do that? I know Allie gets a lot of rebounds herself, but that's kind of her thing. But you're able to get a lot also.
Yeah, I try to think about how some of us need to help out Allie more. She does such a great job, but everyone knows that she's our rebounder. So I definitely have focused on and practice more, just making more of a conscious effort to crash the boards and not leave her down there, depending on her every time.
Right. Now this is finals week, obviously, but you've got a winter break coming up where the team will still be playing some games. You got a game coming up Monday. You've got games late in December and then into January before NESCAC play gets started. So what will be the focus of the team, you think, over this next few weeks?
Definitely building upon the last few weeks that we've had games and learning a lot from those. Not everything has gone the way we had hoped. So just building our team chemistry, and especially in practice, just working really hard. We've seen a few Colby and Bowdoin, and we know what we need to achieve in the next few weeks to be ready for NESCAC play. So definitely just pushing each other and getting ready for that.
And you've had a couple first years contribute. So as a senior, what's it like to see Christophe and Candy doing so well so early here?
I mean, it's awesome. It's exactly where like our program should be moving and our culture. And so it's just really exciting to have them come in and already like contribute and just feel like they can contribute.
As captains, do you and Allie ever talk to them like individually, like about different things about the team or anything like that?
Honestly, they've really done so great on their own. We haven't had to like have many conversations about, keeping up their confidence or anything like that. Like their attitudes are great. Their work ethic is like so strong. Definitely like admire them for that.
And then it must be nice being an alumni gym this year because you've got that brand new locker room, right?
Oh yeah, that's awesome. It's a great space. I'm so glad I was here to enjoy it.
And then for you, what are some of your goals personally? What would make your senior year, something that you look back on with pride here moving down the stretch? What are some goals you're setting for yourself?
Definitely just continuing to contribute to this season and not having any games that we look back on and thinking we could have done more, that the outcome should have been different. So that's really my goal, is to hopefully just kind of have more success. But if that doesn't come with the wins, it'll just come with knowing we gave it everything. And I know we just have so much more potential to build on. That's all I can hope for.
All right, well, Bernadette, thanks so much for joining us here on the Bobcast, and congrats again on being our female Bobcat of the week.
Thank you.
With the students taking their final exams this week, there are no Bates athletic events until Sunday. So it's a great time to get an update from the Bobcats Director of Athletics, Kevin McHugh. Let's talk about what's coming up in January. The athletic department doing a lot of different, very interesting events with some very great guests. Tell us about them.
Sure. We often try to make sure that we're complementing, whatever we're doing with our sport programs with trying to be involved with the campus community and doing some things that positively impact. So a number of things in January that we're doing, starting with a participation in Martin Luther King Day. We've historically, athletics has tried to do a presentation often in conjunction with our athletics committee. And this year we're going to do a panel discussion just around kind of the broad topic of athletics and using athletics to positively impact issues around social justice. So it ties into the MLK Day theme that has to do with reparations, but we're going to expand on that. We have a guest panelist, Amir Loggins, who's been very involved in Black Lives Matters and with Colin Kaepernick, and we're going to have some other campus folks be on a panel with him, so that we're looking forward to that. We also, on the 20th, at the Con men's basketball game, we're going to do a Green Dot game, and for those that may not be familiar, Green Dot is a bystander intervention program and been really, really successful, kind of hot thing on campus now with lots of folks getting trained, both students and staff, and so we're gonna have a day that's dedicated to getting even more visibility around Green Dot, and I think we're going to have our players in Green Dot uniforms and that type of thing. So, and then at the end of the month, on the 30th, we have a program featuring Shamika Holzclaw, who many will know was a real prominent women's basketball player for Tennessee, and then went on to a really stellar WNBA career. But she also struggled with mental health issues throughout that. I think lots of folks may not have been aware of that. She has produced a documentary about her struggles with mental illness and combined with her playing, and she's going to come here to do a presentation of her film and then a panel discussion after that, because this mental illness is one of the challenges affecting colleges and athletics all over the place. So anyway, that's the lineup for January, and we're pretty excited about, again, us being involved in some things just beyond just the straight up athletic contests that take up a lot of our time.
Let's go back to on the field a little bit for Bates and on the court. Men's basketball, a nice victory over Bowdoin, then the heartbreaker against Colby. You're watching it. I mean, you're an administrator, but you're also a fan, right? I mean, that's tough, isn't it?
Well, yeah. If you watch me down the sidelines, in agony, probably more demonstrative than I should be as an athletic director. But yeah, I mean, lots of moments where I think we should have done some things that we either didn't get done or things went against us. But at the end of the day, yeah, it was just a heartbreaking finish. And it's a lot of the little things, a lot of the, things that coaches talk about 3 throws being made and Just presence. At the end we had that crazy call against us. We're still not sure exactly what it was, a backcourt call or a 10-second call, but that changed things around. And it was really tough too because, the energy of the crowd and just everything going on. And it looked like we finally, after being down a good part of the second half, we came back and actually were up, at least the last few possessions, and then they came back and, tied us, and it was a real back and forth. And gosh, after the block on the last shot that Colby put up, next to last shot, we blocked that one, and then they hit his desperation falling down. Anyway, it was probably in my 9 plus almost 10 years, that's got to be one of the crazier finishes I've ever seen, and heartbreaking.
Right, absolutely. Well, one good thing about the men's basketball team is how great Del Pesce's continue to be for the Bobcats. In fact, Malcolm Del Pesce just broke the career blocks record. What have you seen their development? What does that mean? Obviously you're a guy who appreciates history. For him to break a record that's been standing for almost 30 years. Yeah,
really, it's incredible. And as I mentioned earlier, I had caused. I know a friend of Dave Larrabee whose record has been broken. I passed that along to him, and it is. It's stood around for quite a while. And the Del Pesces right now are doing what you dream your seniors will do. They've always been strong from a leadership standpoint. They're still doing that, but they're also backing that up with performance too. Whether it's blocks, whether it's rebounds, whether it's scoring. One or the other, and it's I know John Furbush is really thrilled about the matchup problems that they present because you can oftentimes you might be able to at least contain one of them, but that means the other one's going to be doing something to you, and so to have that 1-2 punch is really tremendous. So they've been getting it done the way, again, like you say, you really look for seniors to do. So we hope it continues.
Looking back on the fall sports season real quickly, I would say women's cross country has to be the standout, weren't they?
Yeah, phenomenal year. Nice recognition for Jay Hartshorn, who's been great for a long time, but finally got some recognition from her NESCAC peers. But just a really great group. I had the good fortune to go down to the Nationals and was able to be around the team and sit with some of the kids prior to competing and then just watch them go. And they just had a really, really good year. Same thing, it sounds like a cliche, but when you have your leadership from your upper class kids, and they're performing, that obviously makes a huge difference. But she also had some talented younger kids too, and just the ability to blend those and get that going, resulted in a pretty phenomenal year.
And then looking here at winter sports besides basketball, we've got our swimming and diving teams off to a great start. Both men and women won the main state title. The squash team's off to a great start. These are two programs that kind of have like a little bit untraditional locations, untraditional hours, if you will, in terms of like when they're playing and whatnot, or in terms of where they're located even. But so what's it mean to have these programs continue to be so successful?
Well, it's one of those things. It's not a good news, bad news, but it's now they've set such a standard that there's that expectation, and that's really where we'd like to be with all of our sports across the board. I mean, that's where we end up being. Where swimming's undefeated right now. Like, when does that ever happen with a program? And squash, both programs again nationally ranked and doing what they should be doing to beat teams that are also ranked, but maybe not quite as good as they are. And so again, to have that level of expectation where you expect every time you go out we're gonna be winning is, again, like I said, where we want to be, and it's great to have them continue and just to sort of think about where we're going to end up at the end of the year when all's said and done. But we'll enjoy the ride along the way.
And looking ahead a little bit, over the summer, I should say, obviously the athletic department hired a couple new coaches, including an alum, Michaela Holland, who is going to be coaching the alpine skiing team. Well, she already is, I'm sure, but coming up here in January, their season starts. What, if anything, have you talked with her about leading up to her season?
We've talked about a lot of things, because as a new coach coming in, even as an alum, everything's different. Just trying to figure out scheduling and get someplace where there's snow. So a couple weeks ago, they ended up going to Vermont, and she tied that in with a chance. The United States hosted an international ski event. To be honest, I'm not even sure exactly what it was, but she said it was just phenomenal that they got some training in, they found some snow, but they also got to see this competition, which was, once in a lifetime to have in this country. So, but she's great because she's got that enthusiasm. She's all about Bates as an alum and everything, and I think really relates well to the athletes on the team. And again, it's just going through some of the, just the kind of the logistics, if you will, of running a program. And it's good because she pops in, pretty much on a daily basis, and she is so positive and so full of energy and everything. It's really neat to have her on board.
And then obviously she coaches alpine skiing, but she's got a very experienced Nordic skiing coach she can talk to too, right?
Yep. And Becky is a phenomenal mentor, and they're close because obviously the competitions at the carnivals end up tying in together, and so some of those logistics overlap. At the end of the year, we're going to host a carnival that's also an NCAA regional, so so there's going to be some real big things coming up and some planning that we're going to have to do with both those coaches, and they'll continue to to work together to hopefully get us back into the national picture.
Well, and Kevin, as we know, this is your last season here as the athletic director, wrapping things up after the spring sports end. And so for the successor, what's maybe one piece of advice you might have stepping into your shoes after you've been here for a decade?
Well, I'll give you two pieces. The first would be to have a good sense of humor, and I'm semi-kidding about that. But I guess the thing that I would say, and hopefully anybody coming in would do this, would be to really take advantage of the folks that are here. And I know that sounds pretty maybe trite, but they're phenomenal folks that we have, our coaching staff, our regular staff, and they're really what makes this place go and what makes our student athletes have the experience that they have. And so, to make sure that they're taking advantage of those folks, that they're listening to them, that they're taking again full advantage of what they offer. We've got some really, really smart people, as well as really, really good coaches, as well as folks that are really engaged with with what they're doing with their athletes, but with the college generally. And so I think that would be my thing, is just make sure you really tap into our folks here.
Great. And then do you have any goals here going forward for the winter and then the spring and what you want to accomplish here?
Well, I just think we want to continue to have that arc of success where teams are starting to establish themselves, like we talked about with swimming and squash, where and rowing would be a phenomenal example of always setting a standard of reaching that that upper end of being one of the better programs in NESCAC, of competing nationally because you are one of the better programs, and again trying to get back some of the programs. Spring we want to. Want to see women's lacrosse get back to the NCAAs, but now men's lacrosse, after a year not making it, have them get back into it. Baseball, get back into the NESCAC, championship picture, things like that.
All right, great. Well, Kevin, thanks so much for taking the time on this very snowy day here in Lewiston to update us on everything going on with Bates Athletics.
All right, thank you.
Next time on the Bates Bobcast, we'll tell you how our men's basketball team does at St. Joseph's on Sunday and how the women's basketball team fares against WPI on Monday. Both games are set for 1 o'clock, with the women playing right here in the friendly confines of Alumni Gym. Plus, we'll have an exclusive interview with the president of Bates College, Clayton Spencer. That's next time on the Bates Bobcast.
Bates, Bates,